Sound check. Sound check.
Sound check.
Ah! Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Aren't thou feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Oh, I'm really healing it now.
And welcome one all on YouTube and in podcast land. You are listening to the Tangent Kings. Roll it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new broadcast of the Tangent Kings. I am, of course, your faithful servant, G. Michael Francis, and I am here with my partner in crime, my ever so microphone shy, Mr. JJ Benks. How you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm doing better. I'm doing better now that the mic actually works.
Now, everybody's probably in the audience going, okay, what's going on with this mic? Do you want to tell them, or shall I?
I thought I'd just imply the situation with my eye sockets, and that would reveal all. No, what had happened was that we recorded last week's episode yesterday, and we had a sound issue that was very easily preventable.
And yeah, we spent an hour recording, and it's actually it was this week's episode, dude.
It was this week's episode. So, and then I was like, we should probably reshoot it. And you're like, oh, it's fine. And then today's like, we need to reshoot.
Yes, but you want to tell them what exactly the sound problem was?
Very simple. So in my current setup, which I don't know if I would show you or not, but in my current setup, I have a computer microphone, and speaker that is about a yard away from my face. And when we recorded, instead of using this new fancy Toner T3777 fancy speaker, or using the fantastic microphone on my brand new lovely webcam,
he used the webcam that was 3 feet away from his face.
Yeah. So instead of hearing my delicious chocolatey voice, all you hear is cancer. That's all you hear. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, we can't film an episode on that. So we had to reshoot, and here we are today.
Indeed.
Can confirm Sam did cry while playing Monopoly last night. He cried every time.
And once again, my lawyers are going, dang it.
What do you mean lawyers? You got no money for lawyers. Who are you kidding?
I have the greatest law firm in the family, dude.
Is it yourself?
No, it's the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Is that a pun?
Yes. Think about it.
I'm it's after work. My weekend just started. I'm not even halfway through my glass of Jameson yet. It's not the time to think about dad puns, Mike.
Yeah, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I think I actually stole that one from Johnny. Will you two stop? Please excuse the freight train. Dog. Please excuse the freight train in my studio right now.
You in your living room?
No, not in my living room, just in my dining room area.
So surprise, we actually have a guest on. It's Mike's dog.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about today, Mike?
I think we're going to do something different today. Do you want to go over the overview while I take care of this real quick?
Do you actually want to just cut and then restart our intro real quick?
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about the show in like technical detail, so we could probably cut that out. He's gonna go do some stuff, and I'm gonna go improv.
Sorry about that. I just dropped my mic, but I'll be right back. Benks is gonna go over the overview. I'm gonna kick my dogs out. Take it away, Mr. Benks.
Okay, cool, fantastic. We're gonna talk about Trump's impeachment that literally went nowhere. That's it. In more graphic detail, I'll briefly mention why it went nowhere. Because it seems like Nancy Pelosi, on a political tangent, wanted to do it out of spite and has no momentum in the Senate to actually accomplish it. I had sources our last recording, and I went over it in a lot of detail. We discussed it. And it's literally pointless. It's like, okay, it's spiteful politics as usual, just with higher stakes now because, surprise, the Democrats really don't like Trump because he's a threat. GG.
When I said overview, I just meant where I literally have overview on the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just mentioned impeachment, so we saved you guys probably half an hour of talking about impeachment. It's literally nothing happened. We made a couple jokes about McGonagall, aka Mitch McConnell. Oh no, we better not impeach Trump. McConnell's not saying look, he's out of office in 3 days. There's no way you're gonna have a chance to impeach him. We all knew that. Either the Democrats don't have time to impeach him, they don't have the framework to get Trump out of office in 3 days. Biden's getting inaugurated on the 20th, as far as we're aware, and
it will be a peaceful transition of power.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, we don't know if any of the powers that be have alternate plans. We shall see. InfoWars, for example, has mentioned that there's a potential for a mass false flag terror attack blamed on Trump supporters, potentially not confirmed, but potentially might happen across all 50 states and all the capitals, which would be insane if something like that happened. But there's that possibility of something like that might happening on the 20th or in that time frame. There's also a possibility Alex Jones had mentioned this as well. He had a guest on, Dr. Steve Pachenik, who seems to think that is of the persuasion with some credibility that there's going to be not the deep state, but it's going to be Donald Trump, who's inaugurated on the 20th and backed by the military doing a coup kind of thing. So I don't know what's going to happen on the 20th. I haven't verified any of this information, but that's what I've heard and read today and been reading about. So it's totally up in the air. And I don't know if there's anything we can do as individuals to change the outcome or the direction of the country as a whole. But what we can control is our personal lives and what we decide to do with the day and the time and what is within the power that is given to us and that we currently possess.
Precisely.
So yeah, nothing going on impeachment, and it just seems like it's just a show of
it's spite. Political theater.
Yeah,
and that's this charge of incitement of insurrection. The president's rhetoric, it has been inflammatory. Yes, name me one politician whose rhetoric wasn't at least slightly inflammatory, or uses inflammatory language once in a while. Trump just uses it more often than most.
Yeah.
Would I call it incitement? No. Yeah. And I wouldn't call it incitement for the same reason. No, I don't hold Bernie Sanders responsible for that nut job who shot up the dugout full of Republicans a few years ago. I wouldn't drag him over the coals and charge him with incitement.
All right, yeah.
Because he never actually said, "Oh, hey, in a tongue-in-cheek way, I wonder if there's a gunman among my ranks who will take a few shots at the Republicans at their baseball game." Wink, wink.
Yeah. See, the problem is that this is what I mean. It's not just a political theater tactic. The whole problem with it is that the Democratic Party in general, especially the last 4 years, has been consistently not only becoming increasingly very, very rapidly, very radicalized in a short span of time. They've also went from not just the rhetoric. They've gone from the avenue of just rhetoric at people to actually encouraging violence against conservatives. CNN's been doing it. Mainstream media's been doing it.
Maxine Waters has been doing it.
Maxine Waters has been doing. She's been doing it for the last 3-4 years, since 2017, 2018. There's all this evidence and footage of it. You go on to YouTube, for example. You look at Zeducation. Is a YouTuber that covers a lot of this stuff, the hypocrisy of it. You can go on to Tim Pool, or Timcast IRL. In his podcast, he talks about total hypocrisy of the Dems. You have, for example, Sargon of Akkad's covered it for sure, but you also have Memology 101 that talks about comparisons of this stuff too. So it's all this stuff that's, number one, doesn't age well, but number two, it's they are completely content. They're so radical and extreme to the point where they're completely content saying, oh, all the evil in the world is solely belongs to the other side, right? It's all Republicans, or they're just as bad as us, and they're evil and we're not, or maybe they're just as evil as we are, but we're on the corrective side. We're on the right side, so it's okay for us to be any means necessary to accomplish the ends. It's just this nonsense stuff. Because if anything, I've known people, even at coworkers at work, who went from kind of calmly talking about things to talking about like this sort of like this bloodlust. There's this bloodlust in the air, and there's this bloodlust talking about certain kinds of politics.
Yeah. And I actually have the clip of Maxine Waters pulled up right here. I can actually show it.
Yeah, you can do it. Play it now.
Yeah. Let me just click that.
Yeah, then you can.
Bonk.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Yeah. She's done that. She's been ripped apart for making comments like that. What I should do, now that we can actually screen share with Zoom here, we should I wonder if we should show up a couple clips of next time show up a couple. What I should do from now on with sources, I can have printouts, and then I can have the actual videos where they talk about a lot of this stuff going on. But Dems have just been they're completely okay with violence. They've been covering for Antifa and Black Lives Matter for like last 3-4 years, even before that. And plus, it's when you're coming from a statist intersectionalist view of the world, when you're coming from a communist worldview, violence is justified because it's a matter of the ends justify the means. If we got power, so it doesn't matter how you got it. It's you have power now, and that's what's being worshipped. So, I mean, I think in general we're going to see. What do you think, Mike? You think we're going to see violence start kicking up before it gets any better?
It's going to get wild. We're definitely going to see an uptick in violence. Antifa is not going to go away. Yeah. As a matter of fact, as I think I've said this before in a previous episode, if anything, Antifa is just going to be more enabled by Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, one, he pretty much denies their existence. So any sort of violence committed by them it's probably going to be more along the lines of, it was just a figment of your imagination, or this was just one whack job out of thousands.
Yeah. But then the same standards apply to, say, for example, either Trump supporters or just people they don't like. They say the one radical represents the whole group.
Exactly.
Yeah, they say that all the time. So they say, oh, there's one person here, or these couple of people here, they are part of this group. They say, well, this person here represents the whole group, and they're all evil, and they're all bad, they're all terrible. So the group, it's guilt by association and mass. But then you go over to Islam, for example, start critiquing Islam, or you start critiquing the radical left, and it's like, oh, those are just the wackos. They don't really want anything. It's like, well, the problem is that number one, they do represent the whole, in that certainly regard they do. But number two, even
sorry to interrupt, but yeah, you can actually look on, for example, Project Veritas.
Yeah.
They put a video out of one of their reporters infiltrating an Antifa meeting.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, gouging people's eyes out. As I'm running off of memory. So, they were talking about doing horrible, horrible things to just conservatives going about their daily business.
Yeah. Because when people are this, not just sociopaths, when you've got people that are totally without morals, when they're morally bankrupt, then they know they can get away with this stuff, and they know they're still getting paid for it when they know, like, let me ask you this, like, if you, in just the average person, if you told them that you could get away, like, I'm going to give you 24 hours to loot a Target building at zero consequences to yourself, and you'll never get in trouble for it, you'll never get caught, would you do it? What would the average person say? Probably, yeah, let's go do it, because if I have no consequences, why not do it?
And if there's no moral compass or corrupted moral compass.
Yeah. If you believe morals are just as subjective as a changing of the wind or a taste in wines, then how can you have no moral framework to condemn any of this stuff?
Not.
When you've got atheistic Leninism like this, or whatever else you want to call it, it's the state is God, power is God, and there are no objective morals of any kind to condemn anything with. Whatever most of the population thinks or whatever most of the state thinks, that's what's moral.
And, that's what we're seeing coming in with this new administration, ironically, with a man who calls himself a Catholic. Which, to be fair, in the eyes of the Catholic Church, he is, but he's in a state of what's called apostasy. So, next time you hear, like, Pelosi, and some of the others, I think you mentioned Chuck Schumer last week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's a Catholic or not, but if he is, take their arguments with a huge grain of salt, especially when they say, well, I went to a good Catholic school, or I was raised Catholic all my life. I say, yeah, it really shows when you're driving your heel into just a bunch of nuns because they don't want to cover contraceptives.
Yeah. See, this is why one thing I kind of was talking about too, we talked a little bit about this with our last shoot, and I'll mention it here, was that the reason why politics is so uncomfortable to talk about is that there's only the established opinion, right? You agree or you get attacked. And most people are just so exhausted with it that's like, okay, fine, I give up, or I'll withdraw or stop talking about it. And that's all they want you to do. You have to stay in the arena and keep fighting. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing through, and you have to hold your ground. And that's really hard to do because when you've got social terrorism to the degree where your bank is dropping you, right? Or your social media is dropping you because of a hit piece, say, on maybe New York Times did a hit piece on you, or a video got taken out of context. When everyone drops you and your family turns against you, like, well, geez, I thought I knew you, but you see, I saw the segment of you in like a 30-second clip of you flipping off black people, so you must be racist. And it's like, well, there's context here, and also, like, I didn't really flip them off. And it's like, well, I saw the video and the media says so it must be true, and I should unfriend you because I'm a moral person. And it's like, no, you're not a moral person. You just do what the state tells you to do. You're not moral. You've got no moral compass. And
I find, if someone picks something as silly as a video taken out of context as a basis to unfriend you and to disfellowship you, as my Jehovah's Witness friends might say, they've never really liked you. They were just looking for an excuse to drop you. They didn't want it to be their fault.
Mike has Jehovah's Witness friends. Ooh, that's not
well,
part of the show
one.
Notes. One is too many. Oh, I think he's going to convert you, Mike. You have to watch yourself.
Excuse me.
Watch your faith and check your Catholic privilege, Mike. I'm just kidding.
It's
you gave me
sad?
that look. What's that?
Oh yeah. By the way, if you're on your bingo card, check off Mike RBFing Jake.
You saw those last night.
I did.
I read, so the first time, I'll tell you a quick story. The first time I read those, I was like, oh, that hits really close home. I'm really like upset about that. And then it's like, Jake, hold up, dude, it's a joke. You're fine. I'm like, oh yeah, it is funny. And then like weeks later, I read it again, like now, and I'm like, that's freaking hilarious, man. Like I looked at those and I lost it. I lost my. See, I didn't make you have to bleep it out, but I was like, I lost my. There, close enough to swearing.
That's a little too close for comfort.
A little too close. It's on the edge. A little too
edgy close. For this. A little too close.
Too close. I love that.
Who had Aladdin reference?
You're like Al or just Din, or how about Lottie? Hey, come here, Lottie. Come here, boy.
God rest his soul.
I love that man so much.
Great guy, but what were we talking? Oh yes, bottom line is, to answer your question and actually get back to off that tangent. Yeah. The political violence is just going to go up, but but social media and whatnot, they're just going to cover it.
Sure.
Let me put it this way: it's just going to be like, oh, well, what violence? It's all part of your imagination.
Yeah. They just get it's like they'll gaslight you. It's like an abusive parent. They'll beat the crap out of you every week, and then the parent will say, "Oh no, you're crazy. That's your mother doing that, right? It's not me as the dad doing it." Or, "Oh, maybe the mom's doing it." Mom's like, "Oh, see, it wasn't me as your father. You just don't remember it correctly." Or, "Oh, you see, you fell down the stairs and Jimmy just got a black eye because of that." But it's not like I'm beating my kids and your father is a passive aggressive.
If you think I float and I think I float. And if the party says I float, then I float. Law of gravity is nonsense.
We all float down here, boy.
Okay, I was actually trying to make a classy reference.
I gotta make a reference to it, just as like a
No, I was
irony
making
voice.
I was making a reference to 1984.
Well, yeah, which is a great quote. Which when Haley's watching, she'll be like, "Oh, I get that reference," and I'm sitting here like, Stephen King.
Some people's kids, you don't know what to do with them.
Are you even drinking tonight, Mike? Shame on you.
Deepy.
That's like the most Flanders answer I've ever heard. Even Flanders does be
The
drinking.
dippily pippily.
Oh my god. That's gonna be your name. You're not doing GM Francis anymore. You're gonna do Ned Flanders and Sandwich Man. Yeah, I'm okay with this.
With his dippily pippily.
How do I get rid of this stupid? How do I get rid of this thing? What the hell?
Yes, folks, you are witnessing the Tangent Kings come unhinged.
What do you mean?
Normal Sunday night.
You know what? Screw it. Let's see what happens when Benker actually drinks this whole thing. This is gonna burn like hell.
God help us.
Oh God.
Would you like a cigarette?
No. Because T-minus 60 seconds, I'm going to be buzzed enough as it is. That hit me hard.
Oh, duh. It's Irish whiskey.
Well, yeah, it's triple distilled, whatever the hell that means.
I'm not entirely sure.
I think I downed that whole shot. That was about the equivalent of a shot, yeah. For those of you thinking that I'm an alcoholic, I reject your reality and subsequent my own.
After watching what you just did, I seriously doubt they're going to call you an alcoholic.
Is there an alcoholic here? Listen here, you little crap.
No, I mean with how much you were complaining after absolutely chugging that.
Oh, yeah, no. He gets it. Devin's probably watching going, oh, me boy, you don't drink so much whiskey in one sitting like that. But no, we've talked about impeachment, obviously, and getting back to like the whole thing, too, is like what people need to understand, too, I think, is that we talked very briefly about land appeasement in Israel, for example. And for those of you not acquainted with this, before Benjamin Netanyahu got into power in Israel, there was this policy of land appeasement where you'd give that to the local Arab nations around Israel. And what would happen is that they'd give them land as a deal, but then say, oh, yeah, well, you're appeased. And it's like, no, we want more land. So they take more and more and more and more and more land. And it would just go on and on and on and on. Because the truth is that they didn't want just a little land like they lied about and said, oh, we just want a little and that's all we want. They keep wanting to take more and more and more of an inch. There's, sometimes in your lives, people don't really respect you. Like they're going to push and push until there's instant pushback. But once they know they can kind of get away with like being a dick to you or disrespecting you or insulting you or dominating you, once they know they can get away with it, they're just going to keep doing it. They're not going to stop.
Exactly. And it's not like there's an obvious historical example that could be mentioned. Munich conference.
What's the Munich conference, teacher?
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Well, in case you don't know what the Munich conference was, in 1938, British Prime Minister met with Adolf Hitler and representatives of Mussolini. I can't remember if Molotov was there too. He may have been. I don't remember. Anyway, what it boils down to is, yes, JJ.
Why does Mussolini rhyme with the blue meanie, teacher?
We'll handle that after the show, okay?
Okay.
Now, as I was saying, basically summed up is, Hitler promised that there would be no. Put your hand down. There would be no. Will you stop putting your hands up? You're distracting me.
Teacher, I have a question.
What?
What's a Hitler?
Oh, if I have to explain this.
I was he that Adolf Nazi guy I hear so
much
about?
Now let me finish.
Okay. I'm sorry for existing, teacher.
You can now mark the RBFing square twice, audience. Anyway. So what it boils down to is in 1938, Neville Chamberlain met with Adolf Hitler, and Hitler promised that there would be no European war if the European powers just gave them the Sudetenland, which was in Czechoslovakia. It was basically the border of Czechoslovakia. That is to say, the Sudetenland was the sort of border area around Czechoslovakia that was filled with predominantly German-speaking Czechs.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if I remember correctly, just a sort of offshoot, Oskar Schindler was actually from the Sudetenland, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. I think I had a bowl of Czechs for breakfast.
But obviously, at the Munich conference, Hitler said there would be no European war. They signed it. He took over the Sudetenland, later the rest of Czechoslovakia. And then, obviously, the next year in 1939, everybody knows what happened on September 1st. And, boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously jokes aside, and I'm just ribbing you, just playfully, of course. But the whole thing of it, just like that's exactly the point, Mike. That's exactly the point. Is that not just that you see people's you have to measure their actions as what they really want versus like what their words are just their words, right? It's not. That's what they kind of maybe want to be perceived as.
Yeah.
But their actions are how they really are.
Yeah, treaties and constitutions are mere pieces of paper to a tyrant.
Yeah. My dad was trying to tell me today, he said, oh, they're not going to take the Second Amendment away. They're not going to do that. It's like, yeah, of course they will. Their actions have demonstrated.
They'll try.
Yeah. They're going to do is everything they can. I certainly hope not. By the way, did you hear that the NRA just went bankrupt?
I saw something to that effect, but I didn't actually have time to read that.
They're filing for bankruptcy, and they're going to they're going to reincorporate in Texas, which is good.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so they're going to be.
It's like, why did they wait this long to move out of New York? Is what I'm wondering.
Maybe they thought they were a holdout, or I don't know what's happening. But New York would totally bankrupt them if they could, if they have the opportunity to. Because it goes beyond just taxation and like regulation. It's like, no, you're a political enemy, and we're going to try to persecute you. Is what it's at. I mean, this was very well put as well, and this is kind of one thing that ties everything together. What's going to happen politically and what is happening politically is the Democratic Party will and the leftist media and the sort of the whole that the leftist corporations like social media companies, the Democratic Party and the Democratic media, or just the mainstream media in general, all of them make this sort of this intersectionalism sphere. And
you could also call it the inner and outer party.
I like that. And let's just call it the party. I was talking about Haley and Courtney about this last week at Writing Club. And same thing. So the whole idea is that they will not tolerate any further resistance. You bow the knee or you go to the camp. You bow the knee or you're off social media. You bow the knee or you're a Trump supporter who attacked the Capitol and you're terrorists and whatever you are. That's the whole point. Is that
and I've seen this from my leftist friends on Facebook. And you know what? Part of me, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
well, they're so easily brainwashed because they're not thinking critically.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm not saying that necessarily that we are all these enlightened, wise mountain sages, right? We're not Gandalf here, but it's like what we see is like we think critically and we think because we're trying to find the truth. The truth is important to us. These people are just like literally like they get off to this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, we actually get to be violent now. It's like they go off and they're literally not questioning anything they're fed. And that's I think that's a good big percentage of the country is just all these, for lack of a better term, normies that they just don't question anything. It's like everything that's mainstream, they just blindly follow it and blindly accept it. So all this stuff put together is very, what's the phrase? It's very, they won't tolerate any more resistance. You bow the knee or you're done. And Antifa said the same thing. I think I said in the last two episodes ago, or last episode, Antifa basically said the same thing. They said, if you literally do not support us, if you don't help and support us, if you're neutral or you have any qualms about this, any resistance to us whatsoever, you are an evil, fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, Trump supporter, and we're going to violently attack you.
Yeah. And, on that topic, which actually not just Antifa, but the whole left movement in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found this kind of funny where they tried to cancel Thomas the Tank Engine over, Day of the Diesels. Some kerfuffle about Day of the Diesels.
Yeah, what was that about?
It was, somebody raised the stink because, the good steam engines put out white smoke where the bad, evil diesels put out black smoke, and that's just racist. I'm thinking, besides the fact that a properly functioning steam engine is going to put out white or off-white smoke anyway. I mean, because most of that's steam that's coming out of the funnel.
Yeah.
So that's why it comes out white or off-white.
Yeah.
Whereas diesel, have you seen any sort of diesel engine putting out fumes? It usually comes out pretty black.
Yeah, pretty black. Yeah, pretty thick.
Racism has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but Mike, what you don't understand is that white supremacists like the color white, and the problem is that racism. James,
and they should love Ben Shapiro.
Well, they said, the thing is too. I want to point this out is if the roles were switched, just for example, because they're trying to find fault. If the roles were switched where all the good guys were diesel engines and the bad guys were white engines, they'd say, oh yeah, it's a metaphor for the struggle of the average black man trying to free himself from white tyranny. You see, because all the evil white engines are white. And see, the show's a metaphor for white supremacy and how white people are evil. And so all the showrunners are white supremacists because all the bad guy engines are smoking plumes of white smoke out. Like, are you kidding me? Get out of here. Or like you'd say something like if you said, for example, and there's a couple media outlets that ran this years ago. They were trying to say right in the height of Me Too, they try to say, yeah, white supremacists or white people are racist because they drink milk. And I'm like, okay, well, let's picture a hypothetical scenario. They're white because they drink milk, because you see, they're actually secretly sociopaths, right? They're secretly sociopaths, and they don't want they just are obsessed with the color white. You see, all they wear is white clothes, and they like paper towels, and they like toilet paper, like that along the veins. It's like, therefore, they're white racists, and they're white supremacists. Well, if you flip the whole thing around, you'd say, oh yeah, all these white people drink chocolate milk. You see that they're actually really, really insecure about their white guilt and their white privilege. So now what they want to do is that they drink black milk to try to blend in and think that they're racially integrated and they support the social justice cause. But you see that they're really just deep down, really just trying to cover their own racism. And it's like the accusation is still, well, you're just a racist because you're white, and I'm just going to find out some bullcrap reason to justify my act. Like I'm so enlightened, I'm so wise that I can just project what I think you're actually thinking. I could just project on you that I just know your thoughts. I instinctively know them because I'm told what they are. And I don't really need to hear what your hot thoughts actually are. I don't need to hear you. I don't need to know that you criticize communist and fascist regimes equally. No, you see, you're just an anti-enemy of the people. You're just an anti-communist. And it's like these people.
Thank you, Nathan.
They go off.
The guy who wagged the finger at King David. Forgive my brain fart here. That was Nathan, right?
The prophet Nathan, something to that effect.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was for whatever. I had a brain fart, and I couldn't remember if it was Nathan or Nathaniel.
Nathaniel was a disciple.
That's right.
I remember Nathan from being that guy from VeggieTales who had the flanogram. It was King George and the Ducky. And he had a flanogram, and then the whole twist at the end was like, oh, this guy was a piece of crap. You're that man. Yeah,
and actually in VeggieTales, he was Melvin.
Oh, that's Melvin.
Oh, King George, you are that man.
Well, I didn't know Mike could sing. That's cool. No, I didn't know that. I genuinely didn't know that.
I could have sworn you came to at least one of my concerts.
No, never.
Because I know it. I think I did invite. Oh no, that was Drill Team.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to be in Drill Team. You ever notice that back in CAP?
I did. I couldn't wait for the next season to start.
You liked it a lot. I hated every minute of it. I just did it because they asked me to. Hated it. If I did it now, I'd probably like it more. If I did Color Guard now, I would enjoy it more. I hated it.
Back on the topic of Antifa, it's with Biden saying, it's an ideal, not an organization. Beg pardon, your high exalted, lost in the sauceness, but ideas do not beat people within an inch of their lives for wearing a hat. And if anybody's gonna jump on me, oh, he just made fun of a Democrat. Hey, when we recorded last night, I referred to Mitch McConnell as the Kentucky turtle.
Yeah, we had a whole spiel about it.
Mm-hmm.
We should pay someone on Fiverr to do an animation where it's just like Kentucky turtle, there's always something got to say, yeah, and he's like radically dubular, man, or something like that. That'd be really funny.
But I find it somewhat ironic that the organization that claims to be anti-fascist, which is what Antifa stands for, it stands for anti-fascist, likes to use tactics that were widely used by the Italian black shirts and the Sturmabteilung of the German National Socialists.
Yeah, the German SA, the brown shirts.
Of
which Arnold Schwarzenegger's father was a part of.
Yeah,
believe it or not, look it up. Look that up on Wikipedia. The Sturmabteilung, the SA, the brown shirts that were so radical that even Adolf Hitler said, "Okay, these guys are too radical and too powerful. We need to gut them." So if Hitler's saying,
but we're going to incorporate them into the army.
Oh yeah, let's go incorporate them in the army, but we're going to defund them. So it's like when you've got a group of people that are more radical than the SS, and Hitler says you need to chill the F out, you've got a problem.
Granted, Hitler more or less told the SS the SA to chill out because he was making they were making public opinion turn against him.
Yep, that sounds about right.
But even the Italian black shirts like to do this, and there's an episode that involves them in a similar situation to present day, which I'll get to in a minute. But they love to beat the ever living crap out of someone who opposed them. As a matter of fact, their slogan at the time was "Me ne frego," which translated and put into proper context translates to "I don't give a damn." Mm-hmm. Meaning, I don't give a damn about my life. I don't give a damn about your life. You better come to my way of thinking, or you're going to, best case scenario, you're going to find yourself wearing cement overshoes.
Yeah.
I almost did the James Doohan version, the concrete galoshes.
Concrete, with all due respect, sir.
You're making my job hard.
I am.
But sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna make a really bad joke in poor taste, but I'm like,
yeah. Let's not make any. We probably already have plenty in this episode.
Yeah, well, we're still kind of floating a PG-13 rating. We haven't gotten into R rating tonight yet, so we'll see how that goes. He's giving me a side look like Banker. Oh, but that was pretty funny though. You did make that look. You need to cut out there.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, but we're probably fine. But yeah, no. Overall, so what we've kind of covered so far is like the impeachment. It's like there's nothing there. There's nothing. Just kind of reiterate everything we went over. There's nothing there with the impeachment. Mitch McConnell said that they're not going to reconvene the Senate, just impeach Trump in they have 3 days left. They're not going to impeach him in 3 days. Tomorrow's going to be 2. When this podcast posts, it's going to be the 18th, and they've got 2 days to impeach Trump. What is he going to do? He's not able to. Nothing's going to happen there. They're trying to impeach him, more than likely to try to prevent him from running again because the establishment's scared of him. But we covered that. We covered a little bit of Antifa, which is like you look at what people really believe by their actions, and these people think violence is the best way, or the way that we're going to not only intimidate everyone into silence, but like, oh, we're the alpha males here, or we're so in charge, we can just scream at Portland booksellers who carry Andy Knows, who's a reporter on Antifa.
And not even a conservative by any stretch of the imagination.
He's not even a conservative, but they don't care. It's like, how dare you? You committed the high crime and must be put to death of reporting on Antifa. It's like, are you kidding me? And like they did this brief interview where someone was asked, like, they got copies of Mein Kampf, which is like, that's totally fine, but no, they can't have Antifa. And I'm like, I'm listening to this. Are you people absolutely nuts? So they'd harass employees as they would come in, and they'd harass the owner, and they'd get them to shut down for most of the day because it worked. People don't want to be around violent sociopaths, so they retreat. And when they retreat, the sociopaths feel like they've won. So Antifa just does these terror tactics, any means necessary, any violence, any intimidation, any fear, any convincing the average uninformed voter that that it's all Trump doing it, or all the Trump supporters are violence, or there's evil on both sides, so therefore you can't condemn either of it, or you condemn Antifa and the Dems, but you see the Republicans are just as bad. It's just this deflection, it's a smoke screen, it's this great big facade of radicalism that's just trying to do whatever they possibly can to get the political agenda they want accomplished. Because these people aren't moral people. It's fanaticism, and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook have all indulged in that, and the other social medias are going to go along with it.
And I also find it highly ironic. You have the Capitol riot, which if you watched last week's episode, you'd hear me say it was completely and utterly stupid, and that was me restraining myself. Yeah. But we're talking a death toll of 5 with minimal damage to federal property. And that gets compared to Kristallnacht.
Yeah.
Compared to, back in the late spring, early summer, the riots that went on in multiple cities across the nation. Mm-hmm. We're talking at least 5 times higher death rate.
Yeah.
Not to mention many more who were injured. Millions of dollars in property damage. Among these were small businesses and some even private homes. I remember a story where they lit fire to, I can't remember if it was a house or was it an apartment building where they lit it and there were people still in the building?
Yeah, I believe it was in Minneapolis, if I recall correctly, and it was a low-income apartment complex.
That may have been it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think there was also an incident in Baltimore where I think they lit a hotel on fire and there were still people in the building. Although to be fair, it's unclear whether or not to me, it's unclear whether or not they knew that there were people still in the building, but I doubt they would have cared anyway.
Yeah, I think we all can agree by their actions.
But these are called, this is just they take Martin Luther King, I believe, way out of context. Oh, the riots are just the, what was his quote?
Voice of the unheard.
Yeah, the riots are the voice of the unheard. I'm like,
okay. And then the same standard is not applied to Trump supporters. It's like Trump gets a completely different set of morality. Anything on the Trump or the right, just the right in general. You get a completely different set of morality. Okay, here's the morality for you lowly peons, and here's the morality for us privileged elites, where we don't have, it's basically like we're going to just drum up any kind of moral system we want and enforce it, when the reality is it's rules for thee, but not for me. And it's arrogant. It's like the supreme level of arrogance. It's like literally, I can't even fathom something more arrogant than that.
Unless you bring in Satan himself.
Yeah. And this is all kind of that parse and parcel kind of stuff.
Yeah, I shall ascend the heavens and establish my throne above the Most High. So.
Yeah. Well, if you kind of look at the trajectory of Satan, like from a strategic perspective, the whole point of his objective on earth is basically, I want to take the throne of God, and I want God to be reduced to the position of the devil. That's how he acts. I'm going to get God reviled and hated and spit on and say God is the most evil, disgusting, inhuman thing ever, and he hates you. He hates humanity, and he just wants to throw you in hell. And he's and see, I'm the only one that ever loved you and cared about you, and I always loved humanity. I was always trying to build you up. It's that he's trying to put himself into this role of the creator and usurp God and put him into that role of the inferior rebel, when the reality is that's just not true.
Yeah, that's how any temptation looks like before you delve into sin. Now that you sort of sparked that tangent.
Yeah.
Now I remember Bishop Sheen. Hey, we actually got our references straight this time.
I quoted Bishop Sheen, and you.
In the rough draft to this episode, he ended up quoting Bishop Sheen. Now I'm quoting Bishop Sheen, so I'm just said it right. But he talked about, before someone commits a sin, it appears that the devil is the liberator, the sympathetic one. Just one little dab's not going to hurt you, and then you have Christ as the oppressor saying, "Do not do it." And then after you sin, the devil becomes the accuser and Christ becomes the savior.
Yeah, isn't that so? And that's even from speaking from my own experience. That is hitting the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's precisely it. Because Christ forgives you, Satan does not. After you do what the devil wants, all of a sudden the mask comes off. It's like you realize, no, I just wanted you to actually burn in hell, be out of spite because you're made in the image of God, and your existence reminds me of God. And I hate you, and I hate him, and I want you all miserable, and I hate everything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I thought you were my friend. It's like, okay, fuck no, I'm not your friend. I'm here to like rip you to pieces because I think it's funny, and I'm not interested in
Mm-hmm.
loving you. I'm just interested in controlling you because that's the devil. It's like there's this
Yeah,
appearance
because
that he loves you.
if you saw the devil in his true form, you'd never sin in your life, unless you're. No, it would actually literally scare you to death, unless you're. I think it was either Saint Faustina or Saint Catherine of Siena. I can't remember which one.
Mhm.
Who I think I told you this story before.
What?
I think it was Catherine of Siena. One night she rolled. She had this uneasy feeling, so she woke up, turned over, and she actually saw the devil in his true form, his full horror. And she looked at him and goes, "Oh, it's you." Turned over and went back to sleep.
Yeah,
Funny stories of saints. I love sharing them.
yeah. No, it's funny for sure. I was gonna show you like when you're talking about the devil in his true form. I thought of, can you enable screen sharing for me?
Well, can't you do it?
I can't. It says host is disabled screen sharing. Well, you just put this up in your screen, okay?
Um,
You just it's a YouTube link. Let me just put that right.
hang on. There, by the power vested in me, I have now given you the power to screen share.
Okay. Share. Okay. It's a scene from a movie called Legend.
Yeah, that's for one thing, it's silent, but
Oh, this is the line right here. This is Tim
it's
Curry.
silent. But
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see if I can actually.
let's just get back to the video. And
Oh yeah. Well, there's a whole point to it. What I'm saying is like the devil in his true form is like, yeah, it's not Tim Curry in a freaking like, um, in all this makeup. So that's the scene where it's from. And so when he looks at the camera, he's like, even now the evil seed of what you've done germinates within you. So that's how that's a whole scene. And Mike's like, oh gosh, it looks evil. Don't share it with the children. And it's like, well, I mean, anyway. So, but no. But jokes aside, though, that's what it looks like. So, that's what we're talking about. But because let me kind of push it this way, and then it's kind of going to tie into what we're talking about too. Stefan Molyneux pointed this out. He said he had this line where he said, the funny thing is that when you put on the devil's mask, right? You put on the devil's mask and you start running around through the whole world and you're like, wow, where's the devil? Where's the devil? It's like he's nowhere. I can't find him at all. And I guess we've just done everything to purge everything of evil from the world. And you realize, no, I'm the one causing the evil. I'm causing the pain because you can't see it because you're wearing the mask, kind of thing. Same thing with these politics stuff, is that these not just political fanatics, these people have convinced themselves that they're doing right, that they're on the side of angels, and that they're saving humanity, or they're saving the United States, or that they're saving the world by ushering in this police state, and they're not. They're destroying it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But one more irony I noticed, before we start wrapping up, and this is that special irony I said I was going to get back to, but yeah, you notice. Yeah, I find it especially ironic. When people call Trump a fascist, when back in the 1920s, Mussolini was in a similar situation where he was about to lose power, and instead of saying there will be a peaceful transition of power, Mussolini stormed Parliament and took dictatorial powers.
Yeah. Because what a lot of these radicals understand is it gets to a point where I'm like, instead of waiting for permission, how about I do it and then I dare them to stop me? And that's ultimate. And in a position where you have the initiative is a much more powerful position to be in. Who's going to stop you? And that's what the Dems realize, is that we need to just do this and then dare someone to stop us. And so far, they've been proven right.
Well, There's some people out there, I'm just going to say, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
And this sort of reminds me of a Matt Helm quote. And before I get into this quote, I'm going to make it very clear. This is not a call to arms. I want to make that very clear. All I'm saying is if you open the door to violence, you have no right to complain if it opens wider than you expect.
There's a line I think Herodotus had said where he said a country can choose to get, and I believe this was Herodotus who said this, but he said a country has the right to choose to get involved, start whatever war it wishes, but it does not have the right to leave it when it wishes.
That's a good point.
And another way of putting it is you have the right to choose what you want in your life, but you do not have the right to choose your consequences. Right?
That is true.
So if you want to become a drug addict and addicted to meth, you have the right to choose that. But if it kills your body, that's your consequences. And that's a hard thing, because I think a lot of people feel as if I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, and should be consequence free. So the problem is that you don't get to do that. Like if I kill someone, you still have to bear the consequences to that. There's a point where it's like you don't get to just dictate reality bends to your will to the point of self-delusion, and everyone should bend to your self-delusion. It's like if you're asking that, you're obviously it gets to a point where it's like that your request is it's like saying to the sun, it's like hiding under a box, saying at the sun, you see, it's nighttime now, Mr. Sun, and it's nighttime under my box, and how dare you not be where I want you in the sky? Or how about you cause an eclipse right now to occur? How dare you? It's your fault. It's like it's blaming nature for just existing. It's blaming things for being the way they are. Same idea. You don't get to just bend reality to your whim. It's like things are a way that you can choose how you interact with it, how you interpret it, but the truth isn't affected by your personal feelings or your perspective.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been watching Thomas and Friends with my son all day.
That's right.
And there's this character Ferdinand. And, that's his signature line. He gets to his turn to speak. He always has to throw in those two words. That's right.
Oh goodness. I'd like to cast. Okay, question. Who's the funniest Scottish person you know of? Like anyone, celebrity, anywhere.
The first name that comes to mind is Billy Connolly, of all people.
How about Billy Connolly or Bill Burr? How about you switch up Mr. Sir Topham Hatt from Thomas the Tank Engine with Bill Burr or Billy Connolly?
Oh boy, that's gotta be interesting. Bleak Masters, let's get on that.
Somebody put it in there. Do it now. Do it.
Boy, this is going to be interesting. But we are running low on time, if my clock is correct.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thanks for your patience tonight, audience. We really appreciate you. And
we don't call ourselves the Tangent Kings for nothing.
well, yeah. I mean, like I said, like we just remind you guys, like we just not just remind you guys, but this is also kind of helps me stay humble too. Is like I don't have a show. We don't have a show without you. We really appreciate you a lot.
Well, we do, but we don't have the analytics are a little boring to read.
Let's face it, yeah, and Spike kind of, you guys everyone is just so fantastic. So we love you so much. But yeah, I think Mike, we covered just about everything we kind of covered in our last shoot.
Yeah, just about. You caught me a little off guard when you went straight into the show notes.
Yeah. I was like, woo! I'm surprised I'm not like, oh yeah, I like the stuff to drink. I'm surprised I'm not like that right now. I'm like, so that's the way it goes. Hey, Mike, you haven't asked me what my W hat stands for.
Well, I already know, but what does it stand for?
Well, you think it stands for W for Wario, but it actually stands for W for Wombo.
Wombo combo.
Womboing. Wombology, the study of Wombo. It's first grade, Mike. In Edina, we learn all about rumbology.
My lawyers are going, dang it, he did it again.
Have my long cigar and my taste of caviar.
Boy, my lawyers are going to be billing me for overtime.
I am so excited when someone from Edina, Minnesota starts throwing hate and flame in the comments and be like, yes, we finally have an Edina hater.
Oh, I just can't wait till we start getting those so we can start doing a news segment on the show. The marriage proposal of the week.
The marriage proposal of the week. We should have like a whole skit where we all pretend we're from Edina and talk like this. My father owns a car dealership. Well, my father owns 2 car dealerships. Well, screw you, because my father owns 4 car dealerships. And then their dads walk in and is like, we don't own any car dealerships. We just pretend to have lots of money. We actually work 9 to 5 at retail stores and literally finance expensive soirees at our apartments. You're embarrassing me, Dad. Stop.
Yeah. Or you're that family in there that.
Mike's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Oh, I do know what to do with it. I'm just waiting for that one family who claims to be in timber, but really made their fortune in urinal cakes. Yes, I did just make a Frasier reference.
I think we're just about at that R rating, Mike. We're almost there. Just crank it up just 3 more degrees. We're not even close, let's face it.
I was going to say, Benks, JJ, your surprise quote, please.
This one's by Mark Twain. History does not, in fact, repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
That is true. Because like I said, you don't have people nowadays literally marching through the streets, and well, actually, you do, because Antifa does tend to be dressed in black, don't they?
See, can we do an alternate history where Antifa actually just becomes a traveling song caroling gang, where they just recite Disney songs and then just wish people a Merry Christmas? I want that reality.
No, that would be the real Antifa or real anti-fascist organization. The churches.
Hellfire, hellfire, gypsy, it's your turn. And then they just go
First
home.
off, that wasn't even the correct tune.
No,
Second
it wasn't
of all,
at all. Of course it wasn't. I don't.
Second
sing.
of all, thank you for that irony of me saying that the churches, especially the Catholic churches where I'm coming from, are anti-fascist, and you had to quote that song.
Well, of course, yeah. You sound like you're salty, but I know you're not. You're like, yes, I'm not at all. By the way, did you hear that? No, I'll talk about conspiracy theories later, because I've been hearing a few lately that are super interesting if they're true. But
right.
I don't know. We'll
but in any case, didn't you have a couple from like George Washington?
I did quote him initially. And
that's right. You lost your sources.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I forgot about that.
I got the Mark Twain code. All right, thanks guys so much for watching this evening. We really appreciate you a lot. Please, obviously like it. Please share it with anyone you think would enjoy the show.
And if
leave some comments.
Leave a comment if you must.
Leave a comment if you must.
Of course, I say that tongue in cheek, because
please do.
Banks loves you guys. I love you guys. We're just here to have a great time. So thank you all so much for watching.
And sorry to interrupt. Like one last thing. If you guys what you want us to see cover in the next episode, please comment or message us, and we'll make sure to work it in, because we tried to make the show today about like cover the topics that you guys wanted us to, so we'll keep covering them, because we're here for you guys. We don't exist without you, so thank you for that.
Indeed. So without further ado, good night. God bless. Pax a bonum.
Howdy, folks. If you like what you saw, be sure to follow us on Facebook. And now on Rumble, and coming soon to MeWe. God bless.